What is up, everybody, and welcome back. This is Candace Marie with the Peace Stealer, here to give you guys your insights and predictions to the full moon in Aries. I'm back, and I'm happy to be here. I don't know why, I'm nervous. I got the shakes for some reason. Maybe it's because I haven't been doing this for a little bit. But hi, everybody in the chat. It's nice to see all of you guys again. Thank you for being here, regardless of where you are in the world, showing up. I know some parts that are east of me, it's getting pretty late. So thank you for being here and tuning in. Hi, everybody. I see a couple familiar faces. I miss you guys too. Hi, everybody. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you. I am really excited because this is going to be some interesting transits that we're getting into in the later part of 2017. Of course I had to show up, guys. Jupiter's about to go into Scorpio. It's my power period. So let's kind of go ahead and get into it. First of all, how is everybody doing in the chat? I know that it has been, I'm not even going to say an intense past couple days. It's been a really intense past month and a half, 2 months. And we're kind of starting to see this rise and swell of the energy that's moving. And the truth is that we're going to see it, really kind of moving all through October. So some people are saying, happy Libra season. That's true. Happy birthday to Libras. And to those of you guys who are Libra risings and Libra moons, pay extra close attention to what's going on, especially because of these oppositions with the Aries full moon. So I'm just reading a little bit about what people are starting to say. I'm really excited to have an opportunity to talk to you guys a little bit about more or less some of the notes that I've been putting together. I'm just starting to pull this up here. Give me just a second. And what to be expecting with this full moon. And I just want to take my time getting into it because I want to be able to really interact with the chat. I want to be able to talk to you guys about how you guys are feeling and what you're going through as well. So bear with me. I'll kind of go back and forth a little bit. But I just want to take a second to just kind of remind you guys the next week is going to be rather intense. Now, all in all, I think that this is actually a really great full moon. And I'll get into that in a second. But this is not the type of full moon where it's just like, wham, it's done, it's over with, we're good. I see these transits really stretching from tomorrow really all the way through the end of the month. So even though the transits can be temporary, a matter of hours or even a matter of days, we're going to see it actually kind of play out throughout the end of October. So if you don't already know your natal chart, if you don't know your ascendant, or if you don't know your sun sign, which you should, or your moon sign, now is a really good time, especially as we're coming up into some planetary changes, to go and check out a birth chart calculator, put in that time, that date, and that location for your birth, and find out. Some people are saying, I have no planets in Aries. That's okay, that's fine. You really want to pay attention because this is actually going to be really impacting the cardinal signs, and it's really going to be impacting the fire signs and the earth signs. So you're going to see a lot of stuff that's kind of playing a little bit for everybody. Happy full moon to you too. Thanks, guys. All right, so let me go ahead and get into the notes. I guess the way that I kind of do this is a little bit different. I have a tendency to just channel when I do the chart interpretation. So I'll kind of go back and forth. But the new moon in Aries is going to be October 5th, 2017. It's tomorrow. And it's going to hit at 11:40 a.m. Pacific time, 2:40 p.m. Eastern. It'll be at 12 degrees and 42 of Aries. So you guys really want to pay attention if you have any cardinal signs around more or less, I want to say 12 to 15 degrees. And so just as a recap, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn, as well as Aries, if you have planets around these degrees, you'll be experiencing a little bit more of the effects of this full moon. With all full moons, you guys know that this is a time where there are surprises, cycles come to a close, we give thanks for whatever we've been learning over the past 6 months. And I want you guys to really reflect on the seeds that were planted during the new moon in Aries. So if we hit rewind and we go back, I don't know about you guys, but I haven't talked about it in a while, but that, that March, April time when we were just coming into the Mercury retrograde in Aries, we're coming into also the Venus retrograde in Aries, whatever new moon intentions we set at that time is now coming to a close. And so I have a tendency to kind of really enjoy, and I really like the polarity between Libra and Aries, because I think that it really gives us the opportunity to use relationships and to use other people as a mirror for ourselves and what we need to be working on and what we're focusing on. So that's going to be a big theme for this. But like I said, with full moons, there are unexpected events, and especially with this one. We have been experiencing since the last month that final Jupiter-Uranus opposition. However, it's not exact any longer, but it's still coming into play. And so we're still seeing this, you know, Uranus in Aries, the radical self-change that we need to shift, that we need to change independently. And this Jupiter in Libra polarity, where we're having to learn to work together with other people, or many of us are experiencing and seeing these changes in ourselves personally through the relationships that we're having with other people. Now, for better or for worse, some of us are rebelling to the point where we're no longer settling in relationships that don't suit us. And so that will come back into play during this transit. So you guys really want to pay attention to what's going on. But we're going to be completing personal cycles. So when we think about Aries, we think about Mars, and we think about our own personal projects, what we have been working on, what effort we have put into our own development. And certainly it's been really interesting, especially since last fall, having Uranus in the later degrees of Aries, because we've seen these squares that have happened between the cardinal signs. I will be glad when they are done, but we're going to see this kind of come back one more time during this transit as well. So some of the themes that I kind of put here, when we get into the fall equinox, when the sun crosses that 0 degrees of Libra, it's the first couple days of fall. Now, when fall hits, everything begins to get a little bit colder, the nights get a little bit longer, and we certainly start reflecting, because just shortly after our full moon in Aries, in 2 weeks, we're gonna have a new moon in Libra. And things get crazy in between these two transits, and you're gonna see quite a bit of reinforcement from the stars and planets to really make you analyze and go back and look over and really make sure that we are in the right relationships. Relationships with ourselves, relationships with our boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, wives, partners, business partners, friends. And these are some of the themes that we're going to keep seeing over and over, because Saturn is going to pull out a few stops that's really going to make us think twice before we commit or jump ship. But as we're creating these opportunities to close up personal cycles, there will be many unexpected changes and surprise lessons from others in our own self-healing. So the sun in Libra, Aries moon opposition, this is every full moon we see this opposition or a square, and it's this challenge between the masculine and the feminine. What's interesting about this is that the sun is in actual Libra and the moon is in Aries. So it's kind of like a polarity in and of itself, which is kind of crazy, because the more that I study the chart, the one thing that I kind of came, to having this epiphany is that this is about the divine masculine and the feminine. And it keeps bringing me back to that point. With this, we see the Uranus and Jupiter opposition. This is growing together or growing apart. Many of us have seen since the fall that as a result of this opposition, we have been rebelling and swinging back and forth between these two ideas. Do I grow together with a partner? Am I limiting myself? And do I move away? Somebody said, Brienne said yin yang. That's like perfect. So we are going to be seeing this coming up again. But the truth is what we really should be asking ourselves is, are we growing together or are we growing apart? Are we finding ourselves and creating independent time in our own world, or are we subjecting ourselves to relationships and not doing our own personal, mental, emotional, spiritual, learning? Are we evolving, or are we globbing onto things as a security blanket and not doing the work? Now, this kind of goes a little bit deeper. Like I said, Aries is ruled by Mars, and so this is a lot of masculine energy. This is the warrior. And Libra, with its very Venus energy about love and relationships and harmony, masculine, feminine. There's so many planets at the time of the full moon, that are going to be in cardinal signs. Now, cardinal signs, they don't like to wait around. They want to keep things moving. They want to initiate change. What's interesting is I don't see this being a moon where many people are going to immediately go, oh, I'm done, that's it, we're good. I think that many of those changes are actually going to follow in the next 2 weeks, just up until the full moon, and Jupiter is going to be entering into Scorpio, illuminating some of the things that we need to acknowledge and release ourselves from. Now, 2018 is going to be a whole nother video, and I plan on doing a video also for you guys in Jupiter and Scorpio, but as the energy builds, we see right now that Jupiter sits at 28, teetering on 29 degrees of Libra. Now, you guys know that the latter degrees are very significant, and when we get into the 29 degrees, that's Saturn's degree. So Jupiter, the great illuminator, it's like a magnifying glass that is going to really magnify that last degree of Libra, is asking us to reflect on, is this the right relationship for me? Am I honoring myself being in this relationship? And so it is not just going to be romantic stuff, guys. Many people are going to be breaking away, I think, from, business partnerships. They may even be breaking away from particular religious beliefs, political beliefs. And this is kind of reflecting a lot of what's been happening with this division. So we talk about the division that's going on in the world, or the division that's going on particularly in our country. And I don't even want to get into the politics of that, but I think it's pretty safe to see that we're seeing it. Besides that, we have the opportunity to reflect on these opportunities and these situations that have created situation of division, and we can make the choice to actually come together. And thus kind of that, Uranus-Jupiter opposition. Is it, do we rebel and, split ways and kind of go off into our own corner, or do we learn from other people, and instead of being enraged, we really work with the Venus energy of Libra and we learn how to come together? So what's interesting that I'm seeing is the more division that's happening, the more we're actually kind of seeing that we're being pushed together, and people who may not necessarily share similar beliefs or similar views, we most certainly are at least getting the experience and getting the messages that we need to personally develop. And so it's not always going to come in a peaceful, happy, campfire way. Many of you guys may potentially get these lessons through communication with a partner, a spouse, a significant other who is reaching out and going, you do this, it doesn't work for me, or I don't really agree with that. And it's giving us the opportunity to really evaluate and take a step back and use our relationships and our partners and other people as a mirror. It's a huge cosmic reality check, which I think is actually really great, and giving us the opportunity to find ourselves, to find healthy boundaries. Somebody said, who me, the truths are to be revealed in the next transit. That's totally true. You're going to be noticing that also, the swing of the back and forth is not going to be as evident any longer. We're no longer going to swing from one extreme to the other. We're going to look and find our middle ground. Now, Venus and Mars are also currently partnered up at 19 degrees of Virgo, and they're conjunct, so they're working together. For Venus and Mars to come together, being these kind of star-crossed lovers of the zodiac, is actually very positive. Because when we think about Virgo is not just about all of the details. Virgo is about being able to serve selflessly, being able to be healthy, being able to help people, to heal others. And once again, bringing up the theme with Mercury of communication. And so as we see these two come together, they're forming a very, very positive, very deep trine to Pluto and Capricorn. And so as we see this Earth trine, what's amazing about it is that Earth builds. We have the ability to build. So the Earth signs and significant Earth placement, especially if you have anything from 17 to 21 of Virgo or Capricorn, you are really stepping into your power right now and figuring out constructive ways to communicate and heal effectively. And so this is so huge, because when Pluto shows up, we have the ability to really cut through the bullshit. We have the ability to not manipulate, to transform. And so that's when we start to see that we can actually work together and we can support each other. The big thing that I think also is, I caught this briefly from Mike, and I know Mike was talking about, you know, women have already woken up. What's getting ready to happen is men are getting ready to wake up. That's what this is about. It's that women are no longer, you know, beating and bashing men. I mean, I think to some extent that will always happen. No offense, guys. But I feel like women are stepping up into a place of power where we're realizing that we're not just here to create division. That the more that we educate and the more that we work with men and the more that we nurture and we nurture healthy relationships, men are able to take their place as the divine masculine, and they're able to hold space for women and vice versa. And so I think that this is the beginning of what is going to start changing the relationship that men have with women, the relationship that men are in, the role that men are playing in how their views are in society and how they're treating women. And so it's going to be really interesting. It's a very positive aspect. All right, so the other thing that I think is particularly interesting is that at this time during the full moon, we are also seeing that Mercury, the great communicator, and Vesta is going to be coupled up with the sun. So remember, you know, sun in Libra, it's magnifying, putting a spotlight on these relationships. And that opposition to the moon is how we are able to step into that balance. But Vesta is interesting because I see this as being able to find comfort in communicating effectively about our feelings in regards to relationships. And so I jotted a couple notes down that I think is interesting, just to kind of cite some information from one of my books. You know, when you have Mercury conjunct Vesta, basically you're able to uphold the truth and explain, you know, your devotion to your path. The primary focus of this conjunction is spiritual. It's about your dedication to your home and your hearth and your spiritual quality, your commitment to your integrity, your purity, your devotion on all spiritual levels. So it doesn't matter what your chosen path is, guys. Your choice is that you're choosing to evolve in terms of your communication and feeling comfortable and standing in that place, if that makes any sense. But you guys have the opportunity to, you know, the next 2 weeks, feel more comfortable about talking about your relationship dynamics, feeling much more comfortable about being able to create these healthy boundaries, and sometimes taking a step back and saying, hi, I need a little bit of space. You know, we're kind of melting into each other. We're not necessarily allowing each other to evolve and run parallel. So the key here is not only that, but to use your relationships and interactions with partners to help us grow and evolve. Now, with a full moon, the truth is that some of us may be needing to take a step back and end relationships. And so Jupiter hitting that 28, 29 degree point, certainly this has been a year where we've seen many people come together and even many more split. I think that if this ends up being a situation where it's coming down to the wire, I don't really think that it's going to happen directly on the full moon, to be really honest with you. Somebody just mentioned that they've been really emotional and crying a lot the past couple of days. I think I subscribe to that as well. A lot of this is what's going on is I feel like energetically, it's kind of hard for me to even explain, but energetically, it's almost like we are splitting apart at the seams. Many of us who are empathic and emotionally and spiritually very connected to you know, the group consciousness, to the collective consciousness, are feeling these emotions and these rises and these swells. And there's a great deal of empathy that's going on where we are quite literally feeling and holding on to things. The key is that this is a really good, this is a good sign. This is showing us that we are becoming more conscious in our actions, more conscious in the things that we are saying, more conscious about how we are treating other people. We are finally getting into the point where we are really treating other people the way that we want to be treated. And sometimes that even means taking a step back and not necessarily choosing to continue certain partnerships and relationships because we are trying to be so honorable and so aware that sometimes it's not the best person, that we would rather let it go than necessarily hold on to it for the sake of our own comfort. And this is a lot of the energy that's moving into Jupiter and Scorpio. The other thing that you guys want to pay close attention to also is health, your digestion, your solar plex. Certainly, I think Mars in Virgo and Leo, excuse me, Venus in Virgo is a lot about focusing on what's going on in the solar plex. And you guys are going to notice that there is a great deal of energy that is released from the solar plex and potentially even from the digestive tracts. Even though it's not necessarily a full moon that's in Virgo, this is telling us that, many of us are focused on kind of getting on a healthier track. I do believe that because of the connection with the Venus and Mars, many of us will be experiencing changes in our diet. I also think that we intuitively are kind of tuning up and kind of paying more attention to our physical activity, and certainly the health of what we're putting in our bodies and how we're treating our bodies and trying to use them more as appropriate vessels, and being more aware of what we're fueling them with. But, that being said, Venus and Mars together in Virgo can also be very particular. And I want you guys to just be cautious and take it easy on each other. Don't be too picky and too particular in terms of love. Because remember, there is still a Saturn square going on. So Saturn in Sagittarius, it's riding out the tail end of 2017 before it goes into Capricorn. But we are still seeing that this Saturn square Venus and Mars, especially the days after the full moon, it'll become even more intense, is really making us focus on where we need to get our acts together. And so with any, Venus-Saturn square, I think that there was a little bit of tension. And this is why I said to you guys, shortly after we have the full moon, you guys are going to be noticing that things are going to totally shift because this is a reality check. And so this helps make things take shape and show you harsh realities. So maybe perhaps those of you guys who are contemplating ending things and wrapping things up around the full moon, but don't follow through, you'll find that in the days following with the Saturn square of Venus and Mars, you're not going to have a choice. This is a speed bump and then another speed bump. And with Saturn squares, there are limitations, okay? And these limitations make sure that you're following the rules, because Saturn makes you follow the rules. Saturn gets a bad rap. I think that this is more a reality check. And so those of you guys who are still blindly holding on to relationships, or still blindly saying, no, I'm not, I can't be with this person anymore, Saturn's going to give you 2 bumps right before the new moon in Libra. And so the new moon in Libra, we'll do another video about that, but just off the cusp, this is going to be a time when you guys are setting new intentions for relationships. So that 29 degrees of Jupiter, in Libra, and all of these squares happening, there's no coincidence. What's really going on is that you're having to make a choice. Now, this is why I say, guys, it's really important to be aware of your chart, because you're really going to want to focus on where Aries is in your chart and where Libra is in your chart, because I feel like this polarity is so significant this month. So you really want to take a look. All right. So something else that's going on here is also Saturn is still, in Sagittarius, and it's making positive aspects, and it's still supporting the North Node in Leo. And so this continues to fuel our heart's desires and give us the ability to create and work on our inner child. And so, Aries being the baby of the zodiac, I think, Aries, they can't help themselves. They are very self-focused. They are very, they've got the tunnel vision on. And so it can be hard for those really intense Aries placement to be able to get out of that. But when the North Node shows up in Leo and it makes trines, I think it gives us the opportunity here to work very well with Sagittarius and go, you know what? It's okay for me to be selfish and say, my heart's not in this project. My heart's not in this particular relationship. My heart's not living here or with this job. And it's continually fueling and giving positive aspects to the North Node and to Saturn and during this moon to help us move forward and create change. So certainly pay attention to that, you guys. Kind of scanning through my notes here. The other thing I wanted to mention is with the sun in Libra and the moon in Aries, it is creating a T-square, okay? And so this is kind of like the return of those cardinal squares that just keep flaring up, and they've been flaring up, and I just really want them to go away. But nevertheless, it's here for a reason. And this is really the one thing more kind of like on a more mundane astrology level that I wanted to talk about, because so many of you guys are asking, well, how is it going to affect the world? When we see a T-square, especially this particular T-square that's been repetitively kind of coming and going between these cardinal squares of Libra, Jupiter in Libra, Uranus in Aries, and Pluto in Capricorn, we are going to see that we're planting a seed to remove anything that is manipulative, abusive, possessive, and involves power struggles. And so this is happening all over the world. We're seeing this happening worldwide. I really want to focus on not just doing this whole little what's going on in our own particular world. I want to open it up because you guys need to understand something. What might be trauma, drama in your relationship is playing out on a grander scale of trauma, drama in government, in world powers, in what's going on with how we are treating other countries, with how we are handling law and interactions with other countries. So this is not just us, you guys. This is the grander reflection of this full moon, which is how we handle things on a more personal level. Personally, emotionally, energetically, we need to like wake the fuck up and realize that this is going on all over the place. Anywhere where there is manipulation or abuse, it's going to be like, bang, it's going to hit you. T-squares hit you. It will emotionally hurt. It can physically hurt, and it can be right in your face. Now, this is leading the way. It's really showing you and putting a spotlight on where we need to create healthy, balanced relationships and interactions. Power or control issues majorly come into play. And so does the topic of how we choose to use our power. Are we giving our power away? Are we manipulating other people? Are we, playing into corruption? You guys all want to take a look at this. The chat's like going crazy. It's going crazy because I got to tell you guys something. And if you go way back to like my other videos, I remember back during the Mercury retrograde of like December 2016, January 2017. Do you guys remember that horrible Mercury retrograde in Capricorn? Maybe it was worse for me because I've got a ton of planets in Capricorn, but it was gnarly over like Christmas time. And I kept talking about what was going on in terms of stuff that was just kind of starting to come out about this issues with Russia and the issues with, what happened with the Russian government and what was going on during the election. And at that time, it had just kind of seeped a little bit through the news, and people were brushing it off and just saying it's a conspiracy theory. What's interesting is fast forward to now, 9 months later, 10 months later. It's not a conspiracy. This has become a full-blown thing. I'm not going to get into politics. I'm just saying where there are T-squares, especially this particular T-square with Pluto in Capricorn, this is going to be bringing up and highlighting all month major issues of corruption in the political system, issues with economic imbalances and divisive tactics. So I take that to create an astrological, mathematical situation. I take this T-square where Pluto is showing up, and it's like, whoa, hold on a second, hold my beer. If you thought this wasn't going to be exposed, it's going to be exposed. Fast forward to then October, 10th, when Jupiter shows up into Scorpio. This is starting a year where what might have been conspiracy theories are now coming into light, and we're going to start seeing which ones actually hold the truth. You guys are going to start seeing a grander scale of a long-term transit of Saturn going into Capricorn. The long and short of it is, guys, Sun in Libra, partnerships and relationships, and the legal system. Moon in Aries, how we as a country, as a group, as a collective are emotionally trying to focus on how we can change, become more self-aware, and be more independently thinking. And Pluto in Capricorn is kind of alchemizing and working and stirring things up, that's showing us where all of the gunk is in government, where all of the crap is in our ancestral lineage, where we are being abused by the system. Pay attention, guys, because the stuff that's coming up about what's happening in our government in particular is going to be front and center the next couple of weeks and the next couple of months. It's really going to get real. Pluto is now direct. So things that are coming to the surface that maybe were a little bit, you know, murky and not entirely too clear, what we're going to start seeing is all of a sudden it's becoming very clear what is disrupting the system. Remember, Capricorn is the structure. So if Pluto's there, it's working and working and working and working until it crumbles. And so many of us are seeing this. Everybody's got a Pluto placement in Capricorn somewhere in their chart, not natally, but your transits. So what I want you guys to pay attention to is Pluto is breaking things down, because when Saturn shows up the next 3 years, we're going to rebuild. So pay attention to where the corruption and the manipulation is. Pay attention and make sure that your relationships are happy, that they're healthy, that you're honoring yourself, that you're honoring your truth. Get ready, get ready, because next year is going to be amazing. As Jupiter makes its way into Scorpio, it will be making trines, guys, to Neptune, which is really waking us up, especially spiritually, and especially in terms of healing techniques and even sound healing. You guys are also going to notice that then Saturn moves into Capricorn the end actually of 2017, the beginning of 2018. And all next year, you'll see Jupiter working off and on in positive sextiles to Saturn. So we've got the great expander in Scorpio, where we are dealing with our shadow self. We're dealing with karma. We're dealing with karmic debt. We're dealing with money owed. So you're certainly going to see a lot of stuff that happens in the next year and talks about tax reform, talks about how we're changing the economy, how we're handling money that is owed, and how we're paying taxes. And then Saturn in Capricorn is, changes that are going on within the economic, but also in the actual government structure and in the major powers of the world. So a couple things that you guys want to, pay attention to are those transits. We're going to do videos on there. There's tons of people who are doing these videos right now, but I kind of like to take it as I go. So I don't want to kind of like shake all of you. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get into my predictions and talk to you guys a little bit about what's going on with your own personal predictions for every single one of the particular zodiac signs. So for those of you guys who already know your chart, great. You want to listen for your sun, you want to listen for your ascendant, you want to listen for your moon signs. So once again, if you don't know it, go and pay attention. To those of you guys who are also, wondering what's going to happen, what's going to change. Like I said, when Jupiter shows up, I'm going to end up doing a video for you guys. So just stay tuned. I'll do a video definitely on Jupiter and Scorpio, definitely on the new moon in Libra. And I'm going to start putting together some kind of video series or crash course for Saturn going into Capricorn, especially for those of you guys who are the Cap Stellium babies, because Lord knows that we need a handbook. All right, so let's go ahead and let's get into it, and let's see what's going to be happening for all of you guys in the next month, or what to expect from the full moon. All right, so let's go ahead and let's start here with Aries. Aries is the first. Let's go with that. I guess it's probably best if I don't get out of whack, because I'm trying to look at you guys and also looking at what's going on with my notes. But this should be easy, because if it's a full moon in Aries, it's in your first house, the house of self. So for you guys, there's a lot of stuff that's changing, potentially in terms of where you're living, potentially even in terms of what's going on with your body, with where you're finding yourself, with personal projects, intentions that you have set. If you go back, like I said, to 6 months ago, there was certainly a lot of stuff changing with you personally. And maybe perhaps now you have a better understanding of what you need in those relationships and what your partners need from you. Intuitively, what I'm getting also is that there is a sense of Aries being able to come together better with their partners, and being able to learn to kind of rework their schedules and work things in order to be able to come closer and spend more time together. So, all right, let's go ahead and let's see what's kind of coming up for you guys for your full moon. All right, so here's what's interesting. I got two cards. The first card that I got was the Nine of Swords. So this is the card that I kind of look at in terms of like anxiety and things shifting and things changing. The second card that got pulled was the High Priestess. So for these two cards to come up together, I think it's like this sense of being like, oh God, you know, I gotta talk to my partner about this, but I don't necessarily know how to do it. I don't necessarily know how to explain this to my partner. Here's the deal. The more that you're able to have, like I said, healthy boundaries and be able to be very clear with what works for you and what doesn't work for you, I see the High Priestess and the Nine of Swords as being like, you know, if it's something that you have to do, you just have to do it. And I don't really think this is necessarily talking about you ending a relationship. I think this is about being able to communicate effectively to your partners and explain to them your concerns and what's going on and what you need to be worrying about, or what you are worrying about, excuse me. I also see the Nine of Swords and the High Priestess as being a situation where you are pulling information from the astral. Maybe you're dealing with nightmares. Maybe you're clearing a lot, especially intuitively. You know that you've got, you know, some Neptune stuff that's going on in your 12th house if you're an Aries rising. Certainly there are some aspects that are about you being able to clear in the subconscious. If you are dealing with stuff that's going on for you personally, and you're having a difficult time talking about it, I think that what would be really good is for you to focus on how you can be working more on the astral realm and more kind of clearing things subconsciously and dealing with matters of anxiety if that's what's coming to the surface right now. So this also might be a really good time for you to be getting a reading, because I think that that Nine of Swords is like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And then the High Priestess is like, you know, you either connecting to your higher self or you connecting to somebody who can help you kind of cut through stuff, so that way you're able to have some clarity. Because sometimes when you're too close, you can't see what's in front of you. And so with all of this energy that's going on with this opposition between you and your partners, it might be a good idea for you to get a second opinion, especially considering that you personally are wrapping up your own personal cycles. So not to sound like too much of a buy a reading, but that actually might be a really good time for you to do that. All right, so let's go ahead and hop over to Taurus. Taurus, this is your 12th house. All right, guys, let's see what's going on for you, because what I find very interesting is to be having these shifts, to be having these changes, to be seeing that things are radically changing for you emotionally. You also might be putting something to rest in terms of, you know, being able to have some kind of clearing. I totally can see a lot of Tauruses that, I mean, at least on a personal level that I know, are looking at various therapeutic methods or, you know, different types of therapy. This is like past life regression stuff. Some of you guys are doing actual energy healing. Some of you guys are looking into hypnosis, or you're looking at being able to make some major changes with how you're thinking about things and your patterns and your subconscious patterns. I'm especially seeing this because, you know, you're seeing this Jupiter opposition that's happening in your 6th house, which is bringing a highlight to go and find somebody to help you with your day-to-day routines. Go and find somebody to help you clear stuff up, and you may need somebody to help you do this. It's for your health. So there's been a focus on your health a lot this year, Taurus, and how you can get better organized, or how you can really be focusing more on the health that you have to people who are around you. So let's take a look and let's see. All right, so what's coming up for you, Taurus? Okay, it's interesting because I could totally see this. I'm going to pull 2 cards for everybody. I can totally see this happening for Taurus. And so there's 2 things going on here. First of all, we have the 4 of Cups. And so it's not a particularly great card. But what's interesting is, if you guys have studied this, or if you've worked with the tarot, you see that there's 3 cups that are in front of him. He's kind of doing his like pouty phase. And then he doesn't notice and he doesn't see what's being offered to him. He doesn't see what's coming down and being offered to him within the element of air, and also cups, which is emotions and our connection to our emotions. I think that Taurus is going to really need some support this month and be able to bring another person in to help them see the other side of things. I think that this is a lot about being able to have somebody go, you know, I know you're seeing this aspect, but are you seeing X, Y, Z? To be able to kind of bring them up to speed and help them kind of through the process of clearing some stuff out. I do see that as a card that could potentially be about temporary depression or dealing with emotional ups and downs. Certainly that's not abnormal, considering that, you know, we're kind of more or less seeing that, you know, the eclipses have not been easy for the fixed signs, and I can second that. But the second card that I kind of get for you guys is the Queen of Coins. And so these are two very different cards. And for that to come up as the second card, this may be an older woman who you communicate with, who you talk to. This may be a maternal energy, somebody who's willing to help you, somebody who's willing to give you a gift, who's really kind of helping you clear this stuff out. I also see this as somebody who could potentially be a Taurus themselves, or it could be a Capricorn, or could be a Virgo. And so this is talking about how you can focus on growing something that's healthy and something that's tangible. And I'd also see this as like a re-up. So if you're kind of coming from a place of feeling like nothing feels right, I'm not moving forward, I can't see through the trees, then this is that energetic shift that really happens within about 4 weeks with that Four of Cups, that you're able to kind of get back in action and be feeling like totally grounded and back to feeling the way that you're supposed to be feeling. So hang in there, Taurus. Certainly, you know, full moons along the 12th house are not entirely easy. There is some change in terms of your thought patterns and how you're thinking. And so I actually think that this is a pretty decent pull, considering the topic of what's going on. All right. So let's take a look at what's happening for Gemini. Gemini, this is your 11th house. All right, let's take a look. Okay. So for Gems, you have that opposition of the 11th and the 5th. Certainly a lot of stuff that's going on there, you know, paying attention to how you're radically changing in regards to your friendships, but also, you know, through your socializing, through the things that are going on, and you being able to get some perspective through your social groups. There has been a lot of creative opportunities that have come for you, and the 5th house has to do with taking chances, matters of love, but also romance and flirting and all that good stuff. And so you may find that as a result of these transits, you've got some stuff going on where you have an opportunity to make some kind of connection right now and put the pieces together, and maybe potentially even find that something unexpected shows up in the next couple weeks for you in terms of a romantic endeavor. Let's take a look and let's see what's going to be happening for you. All right. Okay. So two different things that are coming up for you guys. So the first card that comes up for you is the Six of Swords. So this is talking about kind of like being in a limbo situation, kind of being in between. It's like, I know where I am, I know where I'm going, I'm getting on the boat, I'm getting ready to leave. So you might actually be considering, you know, making some moves and kind of having a redirection in terms of particular friend groups or social groups. I'm also seeing that the second card, being the Page of Wands, is talking about you moving on to new creative endeavors. You may be working with other people. So pay attention, because other creative beings are going to start showing up, and they're going to start kind of piquing your interest and talking to you more about new realms that you can be exploring. This can also be an indication of travel or a short trip that's kind of coming up, or your ability to get away and get to know somebody on a more personal level and see what they're about. So pay attention if you have the opportunity to kind of make a short distance trip or connect with somebody, because if you've been feeling like, you know, I just want to get to know this person a little bit better, but I can't quite do it with all these people around, the opportunity is coming for you. It's going to be here very soon. This also might be you run into somebody who is very youthful, somebody who's a little bit different, who gives you a different perspective, and it might actually be a good connection because it's realigning you with other creative people and other creative groups. So pay attention for that, Gems. All right. Next, we've got Cancer. And Cancer, this is a full moon that's in your 10th house. This is a big deal for you guys, okay? Especially considering you guys are dealing with what you're dealing with these squares. Let's take a look. Full moons in the 10th house is, you know, particularly interesting because you have the opportunity to really kind of showcase something, to put it out there into the world, to have people see it. Certainly, especially if your 10th house is in Aries, it's you taking the initiative, your labor of love, you're putting it together, you're having to get everything moving personally. And with that opposition that's going on with Jupiter in your 4th house, there certainly can be a little bit of a back and forth of you having to sometimes, you know, emancipate yourself from the family or from your house or getting out of your space and spending time away from home sometimes even to be able to get some of these projects off the ground. So definitely, definitely pay attention. Be ready to be front and center. I see that being very positive for you guys. And the card that I get first is the World. The second card that I get is the Ten of Cups. So this is great because this is about emotional satisfaction as a result of finally being like, ta-da, this is what I've been working on. This is what I've got going. Cancer rising, Cancer sun, guys. You guys are working on a project, put it out there. Jupiter is coming into Scorpio. It's going to make some excellent trines for you guys. So I really want you to take the initiative. Remember, you know, Mars being associated with Aries, you got to work a little bit more to get that stuff out there. So pay attention because it's certainly going to get super interesting for you crabs. All right, Leo, let's go, Leos. How are all my Leos doing, huh? How you guys feeling after that eclipse? Certainly interesting. We've got a full moon in Leo risings, or for Leos, for your guys' 9th house. So this is particularly interesting considering the fact that there has been a large amount of Leos who are waking up, who are also realizing that it's a big time for you guys to be learning, to be reading, to be educating yourselves, to be educating others, to be traveling. I'm seeing a lot of Leos that kind of got a jump on this, especially if you guys started a lot of this work in the spring, where there is some sense of you having some kind of accomplishment. Be interesting to see, what are you you guys are saying some funny stuff about the eclipse. What are you Leos experiencing? Because I feel like somebody said moving across the country, going through an awakening. Remember, guys, when there is a full moon, it's illuminating something, okay? Your 9th house, you are spiritual warriors, Leo, okay? You guys are connecting to God. Some of you guys are quite literally waking up and like becoming missionaries of some kind, or starting to spread the word or starting to teach. And so things are becoming particularly interesting for you guys. So I really want you to pay attention. Some of you may be making some moves and focusing on how you can broaden your horizon and learning more, especially about spiritual stuff. I'm seeing a lot of you guys talking about this. The cards that I get are so appropriate. Even though it's a full moon, I have the Moon card and the Hermit. So if you have started the process of going away and working or hermiting out and learning and teaching, continue doing what you're doing. Some of you guys actually might be wrapping up some of this process, getting some type of certification. There may be some opportunity for you to start working with other people and getting ready to release what you've been working on, or getting ready to come out of hiding and be ready to start talking about to people about what's changing in your life. I want to remind everybody that you don't start doing that work until you've had the awakening. So you have to go through the awakening. You quite literally have to have the breakdown before you have the breakthrough. And you guys have had quite a few ups and downs since February. And I think that really what's going on right now is this is the final wave. Leo's going to wake up all of a sudden and start going to church. It is scary, guys, but you know what? It's an adventure. So Leo, certainly consider, if you've been thinking about going somewhere, if you're feeling called to something, if something is really a place or a cultural aspect or a certification or even a class, do it, because this is the beginning of something. This is the beginning of something, which is so weird with another like freaking, you know, it's a full moon. It's supposed to be about endings, but with you coming to this conclusion, it's a new beginning. So I'll just say that. Hi guys, there are people that are just showing up. All right. So Virgos, where my Virgos at? All right. So interesting because I have 2 words for Virgos, and you guys might want to like get comfortable and unbutton your shirt a little bit and just relax, okay? All right, so let's just relax, Virgos. I have 2 words for you. Sexy time. Sexy time. All right, and I think that you guys need it. I think it's really great. I think that seeing Mars and Venus being along your ascendant or being along your moon or along your sun, you are stirring things up. It's a good thing. I also think that with that opposition that's going on in your 7th house, your 8th house, excuse me, in your 8th house, there is a lot of energy about karma, about sexuality, about connecting physically, about our physical interaction, about you feeling yourself. Jupiter is leaving your 2nd house. So it's like, goddamn, like it's relationship time, Virgo. It may not necessarily be the housing system, but I think that this is when you're stepping into it and you're the 2.0 versions of yourself and you're really ready to bring that person in. So if you're already there, that's great. If you're not there in a relationship, pay attention, because I get the impression that you're going to learn something. You're clearing up karma. You're clearing up things with old partners. Some of you guys might even be focusing on, I'm working a lot. I'm generating more cash flow. I'm paying some stuff off. So it's really nice for you guys to be getting this going. So let's take a look and let's see what's coming up for you guys. So many people are saying some funny stuff right now. This is so interesting. Maybe I should reshuffle the deck. Maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. This is what I got. So the first card that I actually pulled was the 10 of Cups. Okay, so the 10 of Cups came up first. The second card that came up was the Chariot. Okay, but here's what's really funny. The 9 of Coins jumped out also. So this is kind of interesting because I see this as being a situation where, like I said, you guys have options. Don't limit yourself to feeling like, well, you know, I need a partner, so this is my person. I think with the 10 of Cups and the Chariot is about you being in a place where you're so feeling yourself with that Mars and Venus that you realize you can choose what you want. You realize also that you are super, super good on your own and you don't necessarily need someone else. So if you need to say, I'm going to have this connection, I'm going to allow myself to be in it, and I'm not going to overanalyze it, and I'm just going to keep on going with my path, make a little time for love, but don't feel like you have to heavily commit. Enjoy yourself, have fun. Certainly with that Chariot energy, it's also talking about stuff that's going on in the home. So pay attention to what's going on there, because it might be a nice little R&R with you and somebody within your space, but don't get too attached. Don't get too attached. All right. Here we go, Libra. Libra, Sun, Moon, Rising. Holy cow. I'm a Libra rising, and so I think that this is interesting because my Moon is in Aries. So I'm certainly feeling this personally. So I'm going to try not to speak so much for myself, although it'll come out because, sorry guys, I'm wearing carnelian, so I'm super sassy tonight. All right, so here's the deal. So with this Jupiter opposition to Uranus within the 1st and the 7th house, it's interesting because certainly many astrologers would suggest that a full moon in your 7th house or an opposition to your sun can be some kind of completion of a relationship or some kind of ending of a relationship, which is very possible. It doesn't necessarily mean that's what's going to happen. So I want you to be aware of that. What I do think is very fascinating is that there is majorly a focus about you guys getting your acts together, about you guys getting organized. You've had many opportunities for relationships in the past year. So you are focusing on, is this relationship best for me? Is this a healthy balance? Am I honoring myself with that Jupiter in my 1st or around my sun? And how am I dealing with other people? People come and go, they give you experiences, but it's very possible that you may decide, hey, I'm so focused on what's going on and clearing up old stuff because you got Mars and Venus in your 12th house, that it's hard for you to make a decision. The truth is, guys, this is the month where you decide, am I going to stay with this person or with this situation? Am I going to hold on to this idea? Am I going to wait for this person, or am I going to let them go? And you really have to focus on this, and you have to also be open, because what's going to happen is with some of these squares, if something's got to go, it's got to go. And if something's not working, it's not going to work, because Saturn is going to keep bringing it to your attention. So be open. Be open to endings in one phase of a relationship and beginnings of a new, because it's possible that what may no longer be a relationship could be a friendship. What may no longer be a working partnership is giving you the opportunity to go off on your own. So I want you guys to kind of sit with that and be open to whatever the universe brings you. Please be open to whatever the universe brings you. Here's what's interesting. The 2 cards we got, take a breath. They're not good. The Moon and the Three of Swords. All right, so this may be speaking to what's going on intuitively. If you intuitively have a feeling something may be ending or that something may be coming to an end, it may actually happen. So you need to pay attention to that because it can happen. It doesn't mean that it has to, but it means that it may very well do that. The other thing I would say to you is, you know, Three of Swords is matters of the heart, how you're dealing emotionally, what's going on with you emotionally, how you are changing things, how you are shifting things. If you have to say goodbye to something, I suggest that you do it. The other thing I would say to you is that if you are really struggling to let go of something, this can even be an older relationship. This can be somebody who, you know, you haven't seen for some time or that you've been holding on to and you've been waiting. I don't recommend waiting. I recommend letting it go. So it's like, do whatever you need to do right now to release yourself of something that you may potentially need to be letting go down the line. If you know that it's coming, you know, cut your losses. I hate to say that, but it's possible that you might need to do that this month. So stay tuned for that, guys. I feel you on that. I feel you on that. All right, so come on, Scorpio. Here we go, Scorpio. Here we go. Guys, this is going to be your 6th house. Okay. Let's take a look. So making changes, making shifts, you know, stuff that's going on with you personally. You've got Jupiter that's wrapping up stuff in your 12th house. You've got Uranus that's making some passes in your 6th. So certainly there's changes with your routines a little bit out there. You're trying to also manage what's going on with your physical body and your health and removing things that aren't healthy for you. Really preparing for Jupiter to enter into your sign. So what I want to say to you guys is, for those of us, ask any Libra right now, or any Virgo, or hell, even any Leo in the past 3 years, right before Jupiter leaves a sign, it gets real. It's like suddenly anything that needs to be wrapped up, it's like boom, boom, out of your life, gone. So I want you guys to really focus on this, Scorpio, because you got the sun, Mars, you got all these planets coming for you. Don't do the stereotypical, I'm going to hold on to something and I'm not going to let it go. Because what you're holding on to may not be healthy for you. It's your 6th house. So if you got to wrap up some old shitty routines where you're not willing to work some terrible ex-boyfriend out of your emotional body, the universe is going to yank it out of your energetic system. All right. So let go of the corpse, let go of the body, let go of what's eating you alive. Let go of negative patterns where you are inflicting crap on yourself. Okay, please. Because I know, I'm a Scorpio too. Everything that we do, we burn it to the ground and we rebuild it. But the thing is like, it's a good time for you to be focusing on how you're evolving rather than on other people's crap. Okay, guys? So let's do some stuff and kind of getting ready and welcoming in some new lessons, welcoming in some new healthy projects, because as Jupiter makes its way into your 7th house, Scorps, it's going to be beautiful. You're going to have trines to your sun. Partnerships get easier. Trust me on this. Let the past be in the past. Okay? So let's go ahead and take a look for what you get. The cards are kind of sassy tonight. Okay, so I got 3 cards for you guys. The first card you get is the 6 of Cups, which is understandable. Don't get all twisted and be like, yo, this is my twin flame, all that crunchy granola stuff, okay? This is a situation where you are reflecting on other times, or you are reflecting on stuff of the past, or you're looking at and reminiscing about what you had. The second thing that's coming up here is the 6 of Swords. So it's talking about put your stuff in the boat, get on with it. You know, really separate emotion, water, from what you intuitively know you need to do. These are the Swords. This is about being like, you know what, that's where I was, now this is where I'm going. I'm thinking more with my head than I am necessarily with my heart, because I have to be very connected. All right, the other card that we get, which is kind of fun, is also the Page of Wands. And so this is jumping out again. And so it's saying, give yourself the okay to go in a new direction. Give yourself the okay to go and blaze a trail, go somewhere else, go and start something new, because you are going to be going and working on new things. This is also saying, if you want to get away from what you're dealing with emotionally and forget about that stuff, you need to go and get physically active. You almost need to like get out there and go on a short trip. You need to literally go away for a little bit. You need to be working out. You need to be moving away from those emotional pains and lessons and starting some new stuff. So pay attention. Pay attention. I'm reading what some of you guys are saying. I resonate with that, and I'm not even a Scorpio rising, but I resonate with that. But certainly pick up some new habits, guys, because you're going to need them. All right, so let's take a look at what's going on with Sag. Sagittarius, where's my little Saggies at? This is your 5th house, guys. And so, all right, this is going to be interesting because once again, it's that 5th, 10th opposition. With everything that's going on and how you're creatively shifting and changing and evolving, you're making some really great positive aspects also to what's going on with your Sun and Saturn. So some of your creative projects are actually getting ready to come to a completion. Some of you guys are also going to notice that you are going through growing pains. You're shifting from feeling like a younger adult to really becoming an adult, or you're shifting from, you know, being a parent at home and you're seeing your kids growing up, or you're seeing people leaving. There's like some sense of like accomplishment and completion in regards to your projects. And certainly those of you guys who have kids know children are a project. So if there are situations where they are growing up, leaving the nest, shifting, going to different places, it's a good thing. If you guys are focusing also on what's going on with your own personal projects, how you're able to start getting in front of groups of people. I certainly see stuff that's going on for you guys where a lot of Sages are focusing on teaching right now and educating. I'm seeing a lot of you guys also that are wanting to start writing. There are projects that are coming for you. I think that I'm really loving this full moon for all of the signs, but I gotta go with, I really like what's happening for Sagittarius, okay? So even though there's some Saturn squares, it's about releasing yourself and allowing yourself to stand separately from other people and being okay being in that spotlight. Remember, Sag, when Saturn leaves, it leaves you a gift. So whatever's going in terms of you really being like, no, I gotta finish my project, I can't be going out there and doing things that, you know, are going to distract me, give yourself a pat on the back because it's actually going to be playing off majorly in the next couple of weeks, in the next month or two. So let's see what we got going on for Sag. The first card that we get is 8 of Wands. And so this also might be talking about projects flowing, going in another direction. What might have been on a delay is now moving very quickly. You're seeing that things are shifting. This is about energy too. So your energy is on the rise. You're certainly going to be majorly fueled by that fire trine that's still kind of in action. The second card that I get is King of Wands. I always laugh because I still kind of see the 8 of Wands as a very sexual card, partially because of the imaging on it, but I'll keep this PG. But for those of you guys who are single, or those of you guys who are seeking a romantic partner, a creative partner, I think this Jupiter-Uranus opposition, what may have been a creative partnership or somebody who you met in some social aspect or someone who you've been working with on a project, it can turn romantic for somebody who you have an interest in. They may quickly move in. They may quickly be around. I see the King of Wands is not only the Lizard King, but that can be a Sagittarius, a Leo, or an Aries. So if this is you, Sag, it's also talking about you getting up off your ass and really moving forward to get these projects moving, which I think is really excellent. So very good prospects going on here for Sagittarius. Let's go ahead and move to Capricorn. All right, so Cap, where are my Capricorns at? Where are all my lovely Saturn Caps? Are you guys ready? Are you guys starting to feel Saturn coming? Because I feel like I'm feeling it now that it's direct, and I'm trying to be positive about it. Okay, what's up, Caps? All right, so this is the last of my cardinals. All right, guys, so this is your 4th house, okay? So in the same way that Cancer is seeing this opposition between work and home and work and home, the biggest theme that I've seen for Capricorns and Capricorn risings has been you guys are trying to get so much shit done at work. You've got a lot on your plate. You've got a lot of responsibilities out in the world, okay? what's happening right now is that Jupiter, you know, illuminating what's going on, and Uranus illuminating what's going on, is saying there's stuff that's going on in the home that we can't control. And you may potentially need to be wrapping up stuff for home. Potentially, if it is this, you know, unexpected working from home, potentially having to take care of family members, whatever it is, you're wrapping it up. So don't be worried about it, okay? I don't see it being a bad thing. I think that it's going to be a good thing. I just think that the one thing that keeps coming up for you guys over and over and over is this square. So what I don't want you to lose track of is the fact that we have the opportunity to shift the energies and release ourselves from any family drama, family karma, anything like that during this full moon, and get to where we need to go. So that way we can be able to be very present, wrap this year up, and get ready for Saturn to come into Capricorn, so you can focus on your career, so you can focus on what you're building. All right, let's take a look at what you guys have. The good news is these are good. All right, so the other thing that I'm going to say is, first of all, gosh, these are sassy cards. The first card that comes up is the Devil card. So this is pretty self-explanatory. I also should note, this isn't as bad as it looks. This is the card for Capricorn. So be aware that it's addressing you specifically, Capricorns. And here are the other two cards that came out. You will be releasing energetically. You will be letting go of something. There is a sense of you guys having to let go of this death grip that you're focusing on. This is also about you guys really having to pay attention to what's going on with your finances. And maybe you're having to take time off for your family. Maybe you guys have been making some shifts and not being as present at work. The good thing is that more work is coming. You guys are getting ready to get a new flow of energy that's really going to be bringing you up and really going to be shifting things. This can also be new work. So remember, with this opposition, guys, you have Uranus in your 4th, but you got Jupiter in your 10th. So this is about making changes and getting new offers. So maybe perhaps in some weird twisted way, because we don't know how the universe works, if things are playing out that's taking you away from work, trust that the energy is about to shift and it's about to realign you with what you're supposed to be working on. So it's getting ready to shift. It's getting ready to shift. It's going to be a good thing. You know, Capricorns, it's in Cap risings, Cap moons, especially considering with these T-squares and you guys have Pluto in your sign, you may seriously want to consider getting a reading before the end of the year. I highly recommend it. I also highly recommend those of you guys who are like, you know, 26, 27, 28, please get a reading, because you guys have so many planets in Capricorn. What maybe your Saturn return in 2019 or 2020, it's going to start sooner than you think. So please consider getting a reading. It's really going to help. All right, so let's kind of take a look at what is going on here for Aquarius. Aquarius, this is your 3rd house. Okay, so we've got that 3rd and 9th opposition, the back and the 4th. What's interesting about this is that I really think you guys are starting to kind of really hone in on how you're communicating. You're kind of having a clearer idea about how you want to get your point across. I think that you guys are also seriously considering being able to start integrating technology into what you're doing. Many Aquarius risings right now are not only majorly kind of getting into astrology, but I'm also seeing a lot of you guys that are making innovations and connecting with the internet, obviously if you're here, and focusing more on how you can expand your consciousness in communication and also in written words. So pay attention to what's going on and what opportunities you have to communicate differently with people as a result of this transit. Now, with the opposition to the 9th house, we have a lot of stuff that's going on where you have opportunities to gain perspective, become more spiritual, become more spiritually inclined through your partnerships, where you may have been a little like uneasy about the relationship aspects. Suddenly they're all kind of coming back, you know, back into play. So you guys really want to pay attention to that. I'm also kind of getting the vibe that there may be new purchases of electronics or things like that to up your game. So if you're looking at new computers, if you're looking at getting iPads, if you're looking at getting new software, if you guys are considering taking an online course, I totally could see that going on for all of you guys. Somebody just said they're looking for a new job. Now is a good time to do it. You want to use the internet, but you also want to get out and hit the streets, because you may want to be looking at areas that are close to you. Now, certainly with the third house, I see a lot of people who have stuff that's going on with cousins, with uncles, also things that are going on with our siblings. So certainly pay attention to what's happening with those people in your life, because they could have endings of some kind too. So somebody said they're looking for electronics, Christmas gifts. You're shopping early. I like your style. I wish you could be my Santa. All right, so let's take a look and let's see what's happening for Aquarius. All right, so here are the cards that I get for Aquarius. Oh, very nice. The first card that I get is the Three of Cups. So there is some sense of you coming together with other people, you being able to work with other people, you being able to celebrate other people, but it's a chance for you to be talking about your emotions. And so there are some sense of a gathering or a group meeting that's going on, being able to work with these people. And here's what else is interesting. I pulled a Lovers card. Now, Gemini, the Lovers, is the traditional ruler of the third house. So you actually might be getting together with siblings, getting together with close family members, working with them, having to go to a short distance, but also choosing and deciding between opportunities, deciding between one choice or another. So if you guys are going back and forth, you might want to play it out and wait until the end of the month before you make any serious choices in terms of partnerships and people who you'd be working with. This might also be, you coming together and talking about different forms of relationships and how you are evolving through your relationships. And maybe many of you guys are practicing more of an aspect of being more open to relationships or different types of relationships and teaching through that platform or what you have learned. So there's a lot of interesting stuff that's going on there with that one, guys. All right, so last but not least, I have my Pisces. And Pisces, this is going to be interesting for you guys. I've been talking to a lot of you guys recently about your finances, and here is the big, drum roll. You got this full moon in your second house. And so there have been a lot of ups and downs and changes going on for Pisces in terms of what's happening with their finances, in terms of what's happening with their investments. They're seeing it come, they're seeing it go. Uranus being in that second house is very fascinating because it's about taking chances, guys. It's about taking chances. All right, so let's see what's kind of going on with that second and eighth house, because I can certainly see with Jupiter in the eighth, there is a focus in getting independent, highlighting how people can help you. Many Pisces are really looking for people to invest in their projects. Let's just talk about that really quick. People investing in your projects. You guys have to look at this as a month where you have the opportunity to seal some deals, potentially getting loans or having things financed to be able to take care of your personal projects and get them up off the ground. If you're starting businesses or if you're focusing on starting businesses or aligning everything, I would tell you now is a good time to talk to somebody about your finances or an accountant or sitting down and talking with somebody to start kind of getting things in place, because once we start seeing Jupiter get into Scorpio, it's magnifying and making positive aspects to your sun and any other planets that you have. So some people are saying they're looking for a second job. Some people are saying that they're just trying to figure out how to invest. I would say a couple different things. Number one, yes, I would talk to somebody if you have the finances about investing, and I think that you would actually do pretty well. But you would need to talk to somebody who's going to be able to give you specifics about what you're investing in. Secondly, if you are working more or looking at picking up more work to financially get ahead, pay attention, because it's depending on your own personal situation, and this is where you want to get a reading, it could actually break. So if you guys are hoping to put an end to financial struggles or things like that, if you've really been feeling it with some of these Saturn squares, Pisces, it might actually break, and you might find that you pull a break and you pull in a chunk of change this month. So let's take a look and let's see what's going on for you, Pisces and Pisces rising. Oh, amazing. Okay. All right. All right. So here's what we got, guys. The first card that I get is the Ace of Cups. So certainly where the heart is, emotionally what's going on. Water signs, when we get flustered, it can be hard for us to focus. But here's the nice thing. We've got the King of Cups, Okay, and some of us would look at this and go, oh, this is a romance, maybe, or a romantic interest, or somebody who's emotionally tied to the work that we're doing, because here comes the Ace of Wands. So certainly, like I said, if you can appeal to somebody who believes in your project and emotionally you may have a relationship with, or maybe even potentially somebody who's very moved by what you're creating and your artwork and where your heart is, you have the opportunity to really get moving forward and to get this going. Where there are two aces, there are two beginnings: creativity and your emotional involvement. So the key here is to really be, really be present with what the heart wants, because you guys are going to keep going round and round. Neptune's in Pisces. You can't say no to your creative, artistic endeavors. Many Pisces I know are cutting albums, are selling their art, are focusing also on their music, focusing on their sculpting, wanting to put this stuff out there. And it's hard for you guys to shake this because you've gone through such an evolution with these eclipses the past several years, and with the nodes going through your signs. And so now you're stepping into it. I do feel like a situation's going to break, but you really want to appeal to somebody on an emotional level who's going to believe in your work and who's going to support you. Oh, how long have we been going at this? All right, so like I said, pay attention. For those of you guys who showed up a little bit later, totally fine. Go back, you can check out the rest of the video and you can get some information about the other signs and about my predictions for the full moon. Thank you guys, as always. I really appreciate you coming here, being here, staying with me, giving me the time and the place and the space to talk to you. I live for this. It's my favorite thing in the entire world. It's what keeps me going. So I'm back. I'm not going anywhere. I'm excited to talk to you guys about Jupiter in Scorpio, as well as the impending new moon that's going to be happening later this month. If you want to book a personal reading with me, you may do so if you check the link below and you go to the Peace Stealers website. You can find a link that has all of my information, my bio, and my services. I'm a Western astrological practitioner. I also focus on evolutionary astrology, synastry, predictive astrology, and I'm also an intuitive psychic medium. And yeah, until next time, guys, have a happy full moon tomorrow. Set those intentions tonight or tomorrow in the morning. Remember, you have yesterday, today, and tomorrow, and even the day after, to get working with this energy. So really take the time and place to wrap up those personal patterns and really reflect on the people who are around you, because the very issues you may have are what you need to be fixing and working on internally, externally, within yourself. So thank you guys so much. I look forward to talking to all of you guys soon, and have a very happy full moon. Thanks. Bye-bye.